Hey Internet, what's up? I'm Grantman, and this is going to be my Star Wars Force Awakens review. I have a lot to say about this movie. I saw it twice last night. My brother called me, like, right as the 7 o'clock showing got out, and was like, I got a free ticket for the 9:45, so I went, I did it. It was awesome. I'm really happy. It's the exact Star Wars movie that needed to be made. Um, Patton Oswalt said, JJ did it. But couple points I want to make. I Okay, spoiler alert. There's a couple of things I totally knew were gonna happen. Like Kylo Ren, I knew he was Han Solo's son somehow, and I huge spoiler alert. I totally knew that Han Solo was gonna kick the bucket. He had to. He needed to be the sacrifice. Like hate on Episode One all you want. George Lucas echoed A New Hope with that whenever the wise master who'd been leading you through the entire movie got killed, and he wasn't a Jedi, but Force Awakens did the same thing where they killed off Han Solo who'd been holding their hand. But okay, it was pretty much A New Hope again. There were so many throwbacks to that movie, like the BB-8 getting the plans and going down onto the desert planet and finding an unknowing protagonist who really just wants to get off the world, and they escape together and they run into Han Solo, and then they go to a cantina to advance the plot, and then they destroy the Death Star planet. But it's not really a Death Star, but it does bring the death of stars by killing them. But yeah, I think because of the prequels, that's the exact movie that needed to be made. JD didn't need to take any risk. He played it super safe. All of the effects looked really good, and it was great. I I was in tears at a couple of points. It was just beautiful. It's been 10 years since we got a Star Wars movie, and I don't have a religion. I am a super geek though, so a new Star Wars movie is about as close as I get to being super stoked in a congregation of people all excited for the same thing, and I'm I'm still pretty pretty high off just the whole buzz of the situation. But you know, hung out with a bunch of friends and heard a bunch of gripes, and this is uh this is I guess when I'll start, talking about some of the negative things. Like there's this one scene where they first meet Han Solo, and there's these really hard to look at CG monsters. They've been using so many like really cool practical effects up until this point, and then these big CG looking motherfuckers are like being kept by Han Solo in his ship, and then they get loose, and it kind of puts me out of the whole thing. And it's like one of the cliches too, where the big monster, as soon as they grab any bad guy, they rip them into shreds immediately. But as soon as they grab one of the film's main characters, it takes them like 5 minutes to do anything. It gives them plenty of time to rescue them. Yeah, that was the one scene I didn't really care for. Uh, the biggest complaint I've been hearing is that JJ played it too safe, and I think he should have. Like, we were so scared because of the last three Star Wars movies we got that we really needed this movie. Really needed a return to form. If you're gonna, not not play it safe, do it with one of the later films, or do it in one of the spin-off movies. Like that's what's cool. Even though we gotta wait 2 years for another episode, we get Rogue One in just a year. And I mean, there's so many awesome movies coming out. Deadpool in a couple of months, which I'm kind of excited for. The Batman versus Superman, then X-Men Apocalypse, and then Civil War, and then later in the year Doctor Strange, and then Rogue One. It's gonna be a good year to be a geek super into movies. But yeah, no Jar Jar, and okay, the big bad. Who's the new big bad guy in the hologram chair? I really want to know that. Darth Plagueis, clone of the Emperor. That'd be really cool to know. Whoever he is, he's apparently, trying to raise up the Sith in the same way that Luke was trying to raise up the Jedi when he had the betrayal by Kylo Ren. And another thing I really want to see is the Knights of Ren. They get mentioned, and you see them for like a split second, and like a vision Rey has, but I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see that. And it's so funny that everyone was all like, "Where's Luke? Where's Luke?" And then he doesn't show up until the last like 10 seconds of the movie. But I was kind of expecting that. I didn't want any more than that because you have Han Solo, the anchor to the original trilogy, like carrying you through this movie, and then they totally built up in such a good way to Luke Skywalker being the anchor that carries you through the rest of the next movie. And I'm glad they went ahead and had her there and gave you that shot with him instead of like drawing out a long like search for Luke, because the entire point of this movie is the Resistance is looking for the map for Luke. So after they find it, I'm glad that she just jumped to light speed and was there. It wasn't any long drawn out wait, kind of like the long drawn out wait to the next movie. Okay, one last quick thought. I really like Ginger Guy as the super evil, bad Grand Moff Tarkin looking guy, and his dynamic with Kylo Ren is the same as Tarkin's and Darth Vader's from the New Hope. That's another throwback. And I also really liked the way they handled Captain Phasma. They made you really built her up in the promo art, made everyone super excited about her, then just didn't have her there that a lot. She's totally gonna be the new Boba Fett in that sense. My buddy Cody made a point I wanted to throw on here, and that's that people our age are really about the perfect age for Star Wars because they get to, be born and grow up the original trilogy up into, I was 8 when episode 1 came out, and I got to see the original trilogy and the special editions for the first time in theaters. So I think I was pretty privileged because one, I did get to see the originals for the first time in the theaters, and then also I was so young when episode 1 came out that I was still just a clueless 8-year-old kid. It wasn't a huge disappointment. If I would have been, right now I'm 24 going to see Force Awakens and episode 1 would have been what I was presented with, I'd be really bummed out. But I was, only 14 whenever Revenge of the Sith came out too, so by no means able to, make a rash judgment on those movies. And I was able to enjoy them because I was so young. And even now, looking back on those garbage heaps, I'm, nostalgic and I like them. They're, kind of like the Millennium Falcon, even though it's kind of crappy. Um, I still like it just because it's like such. But yeah, and in conclusion, how awesome is it that we live in a world where that's the most recent Star Wars movie that came out? No longer do we have to like say, "Oh well, Revenge of the Sith wasn't that bad." We can just stop talking about those. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's official. It's the day after Force Awakens came out. We can all just stop complaining about the prequels and we can just move on with our lives and nitpick the fuck out of this movie.
Daddy. Someone, why'd you fucking kill me? Oh, this is a huge spoiler. Uh, 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 uh,